Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about words that are often confused by English learners. My name is Anastasia, you are watching English with LinguaTrip, and let's get started.
Everything's in English.
All you need to know.
All right, how did you learn to speak English?
The first pair is complement and complement. These two words sound exactly the same and have almost identical spelling, but their meanings are different, so let's have a look. So, complement with an E comes from a Latin word complementum, which means to complete something or to make something complete. So when we say in English that something complements something, in this case it's a verb, to complement. So when something complements something, it makes it complete, or it enhances it, or makes it perfect. For example, a shirt can complement the color of somebody's eyes, or a certain wine can complement a meal. So when we talk about complementary angles, like in geometry, two angles that make up a 90-degree angle, or complementary colors, the colors that cancel each other, on the color palette. This is the meaning that we have in mind. So something that completes each other. Complement with an I goes back to the middle of the 17th century, and the spelling, the spelling with I, comes from a Spanish word, complemento. Although it may be confusing, but both complement with E and complement with I go back to the same Latin word, but at some point they just started having slightly different meanings. So a compliment with an I, it's a noun in this case. It means an expression of admiration, a praise, and the verb to compliment someone means to express your admiration. You can pay someone a compliment saying, "Oh, you're looking lovely today." Or you can compliment someone on a job well done. Sometimes in a restaurant, people compliment the chef if they really enjoyed their meal. So there is this idea of something nice, polite, about the word compliment with an I. And if you're on a plane, for example, sometimes you can enjoy complimentary drinks that are free. And it's an act of politeness from the airline, or a nice gesture. So something complimentary, something free, that's just a nice gesture for you to enjoy the service. If you're going crazy for weird rules and grammatical formulas, having nightmares about articles, and sweating at the mere thought of tenses and prepositions, it's time to tame the wild English grammar once and for all. The LinguaTrip team have put together a very useful PDF book for you. It's called Grammar is All You Need. Download it right now by clicking the link below. The second pair is each and every. They're very often confused, and they used to talk about something singular, like a single item. When we use the word each, we address each item individually. But when we say every, we address a group of items, meaning every item in a group. So with every, we look at those objects as a whole. And remember that you use each with 2 objects and more, and every with 3 objects and more. So if you talk about your hands, for example, you can't say every hand, each hand, because there are only 2 of them. Let's have a look at a couple of other examples. Almost every house in that street was renovated. So we're talking about a group of houses in a certain street. Each artist sees things differently, each artist individually. Pair number 3, accept and accept. There's a slight difference in pronunciation, but the words are actually very different. To accept with an A in front, it's a verb, and it means to receive something willingly. A majority of scientists have accepted the theory. His parents accepted his decision to move out of the house. Accept with an E is a preposition, and it means not including something. In certain contexts, except can also mean unless. Let's have a look at a few examples. The restaurant is open daily except Mondays. All the puppies were adopted except 2. Pair number 4, into and into. So we're talking about one preposition, into, and 2 prepositions, into, that are positioned next to each other in a sentence. Into, as one preposition, indicates a movement inside something or a transformation. Into usually belongs to different parts of the sentence, and in this case, to would mean in order to do something. For example, I'm going into the bar to have a few drinks. So I'm moving inside the bar to have a few drinks, into the bar. Or you can say, I'm going in to have a few drinks. In this case, in belongs to the verb to go. Going in somewhere, someplace, we don't know why, to have a few drinks. Okay, moving on. And pair number 5 is say and tell. The verbs say and tell have similar meanings and they both mean to communicate with someone verbally, but we use them differently. Let's have a look. The simple way to think about it is you say something, but you tell someone something. Tom said that he was tired. Tom told Jane that he was tired. The verb tell is usually followed by an object, a person who are you saying something to. The verb say is usually used without that object. For example, she told me that she loved John, or she said that she loved John. But sometimes you can also say to someone if you need an object after say. So tell someone, but say to someone. He said to me that he was fired. We can use the verb to say in direct speech. You know, those stories when you write sentences of what somebody says directly using quotation marks. In this case, tell is used when we have 2 people speaking and one people telling something to the other, or when we deal with instructions, for example. Let's have a look at some examples. Amanda said, "Hello, John, how are you?" Or, "That's great," she said. We can also use say with direct questions. For example, she said, "Do you love me?" But when we use reported speech, you know, without the quotation mark, we can use both say and tell. For example, she said that it was raining, or she told me that she would call at 2 p.m. Again, the verb to tell always needs an object following it. She told me. When we use questions in reported speech, then we can't use say or tell, then we would use the verb ask. She asked if I had ever been there. They asked what I wanted to eat. When we talk about orders, then we can use the verb to tell plus an object plus an infinitive. For example, she told him to sit down. It was an order. Sit down. She told him to sit down. They told me not to wait. This one is more of advice rather than order. There are also some fixed phrases with the verb to tell. For example, to tell a story, to tell a lie, or to tell the truth. To tell the future, which means to predict the future, and to tell the time, which means to know how to read the clock. And the last pair for today, perspective versus prospective. These words are very similar and they derive from the same Latin root, which means to look. They have different prefixes though, per and pro, which results in different meanings. The noun perspective refers to an outlook or attitude. It came into Middle English from a Latin word perspectivus, and it means to look through. From a perspective of a parent, this car is very dangerous. The adjective prospective is future-oriented. It's used to describe a likely outcome, something that is likely to happen, or a future something. The word comes from the Latin prospectivus, and it means to look forward or look into the future. For example, They always check up on the prospective employees. I hope this was helpful. Subscribe to English with LinguaTrip so that you could watch useful English lessons every week, or you can watch more right now. Goodbye and see you next time.